Hey guys, it's Eve. I'm really excited to talk with you all tonight. I know a lot of you are going to have to kind of pop in and out, which is fine, but don't worry because I will be posting this later so you can go back and reference to it. I will be doing these almost every Sunday night around 7 o'clock in the evening. Hey there, Pandemic. Thank you for joining. But yeah, I wanted to just, hey Chia, how's it going? Nice to see you. I grew up with Chia. Lupita, hey guys, how's it going? Just as I'm talking, just go ahead and just jump in whenever you want and just say stuff in the comments and I'll answer your question live. But I did want to go ahead and just give you guys just an introduction about like who I am and why you should be listening to me at all. And maybe you shouldn't, but, I am just one person that is coming from these backgrounds and education and experiences that I've had. And, it's gotten me through. So I grew up backpacking, fishing, climbing, surfing, and canoe paddling on Kauai, in Hawaii in the 1980s. So my family had a camping and backpacking business out there. And so we were pretty much backpacking every weekend in the jungles. I was making fires at like 8 years old. And I think a lot of the younger generations may not have had that kind of exposure to that stuff. And a lot of this stuff can feel pretty foreign, but believe me, we have this stuff in our DNA. Like it will come and serve you when you need it to. But I completed the John Muir Trail in 1999. That's a 211-mile hike. Not really a hike. It's a 30-day Airbnb in the woods, basically. That's a 30-day trip. It's really amazing. You should definitely do that if you can. But yeah, I was also a grassroots organizer in the early 2000s for environmental and social justice nonprofits. I've read a shit ton of books about a shit ton of things, all relevant to this kind of stuff. And I do operate a neighborhood food bank, the food banks in my neighborhood. So yeah, we're here tonight just, asking, why are we prepping? What are we prepping for? Do we need to be worried? Like, what are we worried about? So why are we having this conversation? I would like to encourage you guys to look up on YouTube a TED Talk by Sarah Wilson. And it was put out on TED Talk around, I don't know, like 6 months ago. And it's called How to Respond to Societal Collapse. And it's really important that is our basis for this conversation. And you will have to bear with me because I am going to read part of the transcript, but this answers the question of, do we have anything to be worried about? So the takeaway from this TED Talk was we are no longer going to make it. So I'm just going to start reading the transcript. So again, I'll keep kind of popping up and looking at the comments. If you need to ask a question quick, just jump in. Our civilization is called the post-industrial civilization, and it's roughly 270 years old. And it's made up of a befuddling array of complex systems. So we have the climate system. We have the biodiversity system, which feeds into the water and the food systems, which turn and cascade into a bunch of other systems, the trade route system, the geopolitical system, the global financial system, and these are all connected and interconnected and domino in on each other. And this all sits on top of this behemoth, which is overwhelming and in and of itself overwhelming, on top of another complex system, and that's the fossil fuel system. This huffs and puffs to push the whole thing forward, and it's in turn fanned by the more and more growth imperative. That whole pileup would not operate without those two things, an endless supply of fossil fuels, as well as the infinite growth imperative. So we are well into 2 years above the 1.5 warming threshold already. The other thing is that when we attempt to solve or fix anything in that pile, we face the same dilemma. As a climate activist for the last 15 to 20 years, this is her talking. She's been very committed to trying to fix the climate system by getting rid of the fossil fuel system. Of course, we know that the fossil fuel system is 98% dependent on the global financial system. Now you might be saying, but not if we do the big switch to solar panels and wind. And indeed, the green energy system has been growing at a rapid rate over the last couple of years, which is great news. However, if we're going to make a dent in this and we're going to do it in time, then it's going to eat into the rare extract, the rare earth mineral system, and the water system, and the humanitarian system, since we're going to have to extract those rare earth minerals using child labor and slave labor in Africa, because if we don't, the global financial system fails. And so we find ourselves in a damned if we do and damned if we don't situation. But this is precisely where all complex civilizations throughout history have arrived at. All of them. They become so complex that all their resources go to keep the whole thing vertical. And so a fairly minor crisis like a pandemic over there or a flood or famine over here can tip the whole thing. And this is what happened to the Roman Empire, the Mayan Empire, the Qing Dynasty, and scores of more civilizations collapsed, often disappearing without a trace. The average age of civilization before it collapses is roughly 250 to 300 years. Ours is 270 years old. And the brutal truth, says Sarah Wilson, is this, unlike any other civilization such as the Roman Empire, which was quite isolated, our system is global. So it's all of that. It's everything, and it's all of us. That's from Sarah Wilson, How to Respond to Societal Collapse. So you can see the center will not hold. No one is coming to save us. So, let's get into the whole who, what, why, when, and how about this. Who is this going to affect? Who should be preparing? All of us. The global system is all connected. The fossil fuel system's propping it up, and that fossil fuel system is on borrowed time, and we know this because of the book, The Race for What's Left. This is written in 2012 by Michael T. Clare. On page 12, he says, the pursuit of untapped oil and mineral reserves in remote and hazardous locations is part of a larger, more significant phenomenon, a concerted drive by governments and resource firms to gain control over whatever remains of the world's raw materials base. Government and corporate officials recognize that existing reserves are being depleted at a terrifying pace and will be largely exhausted in the not too distant future. So there's your answer. Yes, we do have something to be worried about. And the fossil fuel system, we are directly impacted if something goes wrong there. So, what are we preparing for? What's going to happen? No one knows. But there are the usual suspects, right? I mean, we've all seen a million different apocalypse movies. I think we can X zombies out. I don't think that's something that we need to be preparing for. But here are some very real scenarios that could definitely lead to a collapse where you would need to bug in or bug out. Number one is solar flares. This could be a scenario where it could be a very fast impact, almost overnight. Yes, and if the rest of the world cashes in on their bonds, yeah, exactly. Any system from the system I mentioned earlier that gets impacted could fall and then impact everything else. But yeah, solar flares can cause what's called an EMP. The sun actually does emit these, solar arrays that come out. And if they're too powerful, they can create what's called an EMP. And that essentially fries all of our computer servers. It would kill all of the satellites. It would fry every single source of electricity. And society and governments would fall within weeks, waiting for repairs that could take months or even years. A lot of futurists have said that all it would take is 3 days of no power anywhere throughout the globe, and that would be it. Another option for failure here is, like I said, the fossil fuel system starts to buckle. I believe we're already in progress of that. We already see an increased aggressive attempt by powers and governments to grow their area of control of natural resources. In this book, again, I'm going to reference, he says, as the climate warms access to previously difficult areas to harvest resources becomes easier, and so the clamoring for control begins. We've already seen this with Greenland. No one's saying it, but I mean, he has talked about it a little bit with the rare minerals and everything, but I think that is a huge reason for why they're trying to get into Greenland and take it for themselves. But he talks about in this book territorial disputes and geopolitical friction. And on page 93 says, as the major energy corporations have moved deeper and deeper into the Arctic in their search for new reserves of oil and natural gas, national governments have also started paying more attention to this region, according it greater weight in their strategic calculations than ever before. All of the 5 countries with a presence in the Arctic, Canada, Denmark, through its control of Greenland, this was in 2012, guys, Norway, Russia, and the United States are reaffirming their historic claims in the area and taking fresh action to protect their interests there. 2012. So that's a thing. Fossil fuel system buckling will lead to infrastructure failure. This is a slow progression. You'd be looking at interruptions in utility services. So water's not always coming out of your tap anymore. Rolling blackouts, rolling brownouts. Brownouts are when the electricity in your house and your light, the actual wattage shrinks. And so your lights just get dim for a while and they will not get stronger than that. As you know, blackouts is a complete, power outage. You've got, let's see. Also, there's my other thing. Nuclear war. That's another option, but there's no way to prepare for the nuclear war. You just go outside and say goodbye. There's no way to do anything about that. So asteroid is another option, but we aren't that lucky, unfortunately. We're not getting the apocalypse we wanted. We're getting the one we deserved. It's literally the movie of Children of Men is that movie. Check that movie out. Alien invasion, possible, ideal, highly unlikely. Don't depend on that. And the slow creeping crawl of climate change, also a slow progression, which I think we are currently in that as well. This involves gradual infrastructure stress, causing intermittent efficiency gaps, leading to increasing workforce lethargy and burnout, which ultimately leads to staff and worker shortages, which leads to consumer and constituent panic, and then the whole system begins to eat itself from the inside out. Slow progression. People begin to ramp up their downsizing and preparing possibly for early retirement. You throw AI into the mix and you've got the singularity coming. Workforce automation with no social safety net could lead to economic collapse. And then, of course, the last one I have here is World War III, which could manifest in a lot of different ways. But yeah, I mean, those are all the different ways that all of that could happen. Let's get into the why of it. We all fucking know why. The Industrial Revolution was a mistake. Let's just call it what it is. We probably should have stayed in the Agricultural Revolution. We are always wanting more. We are never satisfied. We always want things to be easier, more comfortable, faster, and honestly, that's why we're here. How much time do we have? Well, according to Sarah Wilson in the excerpt I read earlier, we've got about 30 years left, and until the civilization is destined and kind of going to fall apart just based on history. But the last 30 years of any civilization are always the worst, so buckle up. So Sarah Wilson again, she says slow at first, then very fast. You can watch for the signs, and those signs would be gradual infrastructure efficiency gaps that escalate over time to total failure, martial law, canceled elections, increased military presence on home soil, global economies starting to tank, city services no longer regular, and gas shortages, certain foods no longer being available on the market or only on the black market. So, I mean, obviously taking all that into consideration, I think you would come to the same conclusion that I have, which is, yes, we do have something to be worried about. Yes, we should be preparing and figuring out how we want to kind of go through this period. You know, do you want to bug in? Do you want to bug out? It's a lot you need to think about. But what I would recommend is definitely watching some movies, honestly, that kind of show you what that could look like. Because if you can't imagine the future, how are you going to prepare for it? So those are always worst case scenarios as well. So anything that falls short of the worst case scenario, I always say is a win. So yeah, that's what I have for you guys. Watch the movie Civil War on HBO Max if you can. And I am definitely still watching for the comments. If you guys do have any questions, go ahead and type it in the comments, because that is all I had as far as my presentation goes. What are you guys prepping for? Is there anyone that's on right now that you have your own theory of ways that we could be kind of facing these situations? I'm curious. How much time do you think we have? And I mean, I think the big takeaway too is, who do you want to be in this new world? Who do you want to be? A community-minded helper, or just another marauder, you know, out there just taking what you want and not being part of a community? I think there is going to be that period of really, really bad unrest and not good behavior, and people not wanting to share, not wanting to cooperate, not wanting to work together. But I mean, it comes to every single one of us. We have to make that decision on who we're going to be. So I hope we all choose to be helpers and sharers, but we'll see. All right. Well, I am here for a little while to take any questions that you guys have in the comments, but I don't want to sit here with any more dead air at this point. So if you do have any questions later and you would like to DM your questions and maybe not put them in the comments, then you can go ahead and DM me your questions, okay? I fully agree with the Industrial Revolution being a mistake. Yeah, I mean, I could do an entire live on also why cocaine is the reason. I have a very long theory about how cocaine kind of derailed us. Get it? Derailed. Into a different, very self-absorbed headspace that spread like wildfire. Like a global hypnosis. But all right, well, again, you can go back and look at this later. I will be sharing it as a post, and please do go onto the YouTube TED Talk channel and check out Sarah Wilson, How to Respond to Societal Collapse. And I really appreciate you guys coming on and hanging out with me tonight. And again, DM me any questions that you have, and I'd be